Alright, hello. I am Wallaber. Um, we're starting a new thing today. I recently released my indie game Pro Gymnast, and while I've already done 2 patches since the game came out, and I have a backlog of a few more fixes I need to make. I wanted to start a new small project. So today's stream is going to be stream number 1 of this new smaller project, and I'll probably alternate working on this new thing along with some streams where I'm doing patches and fixes and improvements to Pro Gymnast. So that's kind of the situation here. And so, what is this new thing? This new thing is I want to make a little fun game that works on Twitch. Something that I can actually put into the stream here, and that the chat can interact with as part of the stream. So that's what we're going to start making, and try to keep these to like 1 hour sessions or so. We'll see how many it takes to make the game, but it shouldn't take too many. It's a relatively simple idea. So here's the idea. Let's imagine this is the chat stream, and maybe I'm going to have like a new layout or something that's got I don't know, a certain amount of space here for, I don't know, the chat or whatever and things. And then my plan is to make a small game that can fit in sort of like a corner of the screen, like maybe this much over here. Maybe even a little bigger, like let's say it was about this big, let's say. And then, you know, the content of the normal stream is happening over here. Right, like this, and you know that maybe there's like me right here or whatever saying yo. Oh wait, you can't see that very well, hang on, let's go like this. Is there a better way to do that? Let's see, can I do this? Maybe, there we go. Oh, maybe not, maybe not. Try that again. Okay. So, you know, there's me, and then there's maybe the chat or whatever, and then there's this region here where this game would live. So I'm going to design it to be sort of tall and skinny so that it can fit in the region of the screen here. Oh, hello, Anna Prince. How's it going? I'm actually just describing this new thing I'm going to start making on today's stream, which is a game that can be played in the stream by the chat. So this is the layout I'm thinking about. So I'm going to design a game that can be made in kind of a tall, skinny window. That way you can sort of set it up somewhere as part of your stream layout. And this would be kind of like a game that's happening over here that's kind of constantly happening. And chat can interact with it, and it's sort of fun to give people something a little extra to do while you're doing it. Hey, Matzi, how's it going? Thanks for dropping by. I am well. The release the game has gone well. I've already put out 2 patches to the game, and so actually today I'm starting to make a fun little mini project that I'm going to sort of alternate between working on this and updates and fixes to Pro Gymnast. So I'm going to make a little stream game. It's going to be a tall, skinny thing that can sit on the stream here, and can be kind of like an ambient thing that chat can be playing while the stream's going. How's the release? The release has been really good. You know, I didn't know really what to expect in terms of, you know, marketing response and stuff, because basically what I did is I just sent out emails and keys to press and YouTubers and streamers. And press, so far, no real reaction at all. So, like, if you go to, like, a video game website, you're not going to find out about my game. But streamers and YouTubers have definitely been picking it up, and that has been really, really cool. So, you know, it's not like the game is continuously always being streamed on Twitch right now, but it's been kind of like pretty consistent, and kind of spikes depending on who's streaming and how big their audience is. But that's been really, really cool, and it's been very helpful for me too, because I get to watch people play the game and both confirm that something I fixed is better, or that my tutorials are working okay or whatever, and also notice things. And so the majority of the 2 patches I did were from observing people play the game, and then, you know, emails and stuff I've received from players saying, hey, I have a problem with the game, or this is a bug, or whatever. And similar on YouTube, there's been a handful of YouTube creators who have made some videos out of the game, and that has been really, really cool. So yeah, it's going quite well. You know, people watching on a stream or watching a YouTube video doesn't necessarily mean they're going to buy that game, because maybe they're there because they like the personality of the person making the content. So that's okay. You know, so it doesn't mean that suddenly the game is selling insanely well or anything. But certainly it's selling better than if they didn't stream it or they didn't make a YouTube video out of it. So I'm very happy. And I'm also particularly happy because people seem to really enjoy the game, you know, and it seems like I did an okay job of communicating what the game is, so there's not a ton of people playing it and then going like, what is this? This isn't what I thought, or I don't like it, or whatever. So overall, I'm very happy. And the, you know, number of bugs or major issues has been very manageable. So that's really, really awesome. Yeah, actually, when I turned on OBS today before I started streaming, the little like follow notification went off like 6 or 7 times. So that's pretty awesome. I got a handful of followers recently, probably from people searching by name after seeing the game on Twitch or something like that, or YouTube. So, oh yeah, and Anna Prince, as you mentioned. Oh man, look at that, Motzi with the gift sub. Wow, Motzi, you know, Motzi is a class act. He is a all-around upstanding individual. And also, the first subscriber ever to this channel. So thanks again for that, Motzi. And for playing the game, even though it kind of broke you when you played it. But Anna, you were saying, you know, you don't have the ability to buy the game right now. That's something I noticed too, which is kind of interesting, is that wish lists have gotten quite a lot of wish lists, more wish lists than sales. So I don't know if that means anything. This is my first Steam game. I don't know if that means I priced the game too high. I think more likely it means that people saw the game and were interested in it and then click the wish list button to make their decision later, or wait and get a notification when the game goes on sale or something. So it would be interesting to see, you know, at some point down the road, if I put the game on sale, what's the reaction like from all those people that have the game wishlisted. So really, I have absolutely nothing to complain about, and I'm happy. I'm not freaking out right now trying to fix major bugs or anything. I can even start messing around with this goofy little micro game I want to make. So the plan here is that there's going to be this little tall, skinny game that you could work into your stream. I'm making it for me, but maybe other streamers would want to use it. I don't know. And if so, then I'll make it support at least a certain range of aspect ratio, so you could kind of work it into your stream layout. And it's going to be this really simple game. So let's just talk about what is the idea for the game. So the idea for the game is you have this narrow, tall screen to work with. And it's going to be a prediction game. So down here towards the bottom, there's going to constantly be, I think, probably 3 little buckets like this. And then there'll be some sort of mixture of planks and, you know, like little levers and things like this. And then a ball is going to drop in from the top of the screen, and it's going to bounce and fall down. And what will happen is everyone in chat is trying to predict where the ball is going to end up. So this might be like exclamation point 1. This might be like exclamation point 2. And this would be like exclamation point 3. And so by typing those commands in, you're putting in your vote for where the ball is going to end up. And the part that I think will be fun about this is that there will be somewhere on the screen here something saying, you know, if you get in your guess right now, like let's say, you know, it's like, oh, it's 50 points right now. And the way it's going to work is it's going to only show a portion of the path. So the game will have already found the answer. It will have simulated the ball all the way to the point where it goes down here. But at first, it's only going to show the ball like coming in, pause. And then it'll show that a couple times at 50. And then it'll be like, okay, now it's 40. And then it'll show the ball coming in, coming in, coming in, bouncing, pause. And then it'll show you that trajectory, and it'll wait a little while. And then it'll be like, okay, now it's 30. And it'll show you that it goes like this and hits this thing and bounces like that because this thing spins or whatever. And so essentially, the longer you wait to make your guess, the more likely you are to be right, but the fewer points you'll get. And then, I don't know, there'll be some kind of streak system or something, because after the ball goes down, then it's gonna like do a little recap screen where it shows like, here are the people connected and playing right now. Here's their name and here's their score, name and score, and then here's the next few with their name and score, you know, and then here's the next row. Here's the next row. And like if someone suddenly took over, then their thing would move to here, and then this would shuffle over, and everything shuffles, and you get to see what scores everyone has. And then it would scroll to the next one, and the ball comes in again from the same trajectory it had before, and there's a new like little layout. And Prince saying, you're a college student, wait for things to be on sale. So that's good to know. Yeah, I have a feeling a lot of people are waiting for the game to be on sale. But as a computer science major, game development is something I've always been interested in learning more. So watch the streams. Oh, cool. That's awesome. You're a junior. Wow. So you probably already got a pretty good foundation for coding and whatnot. So that's what I'm going to be making. And I already got Unity like basically set up here. So I have like an empty project. All I have done so far is I found the library you can use to connect to Twitch, and got it set up so that if I run this, let's actually double check this. If I go to here, we can test this. Yeah, cool. Okay. So if I run this, what we should see here in the console. Oh, what is this? I haven't seen that before. I'm on a new version of Unity I haven't messed around with. Okay, so here we go. We're in play mode. What is recording play mode has started? I don't know what that means. But in theory, there you go. See, and the Prinz, you can see here, this debug log here is saying what you just typed in chat. So it says your username, and it says you typed out, you know, our curriculum is very Java-based, but we had a class that's basically learning how to program, blah, blah, blah. And then Motzi makes says, wow, with, and then Motzi makes, you can test this live, dude, this is so cool. So this is, and Motzi, let me show you how simple this is, because there's this Twitch library. You have to do some setup, right? You make a, I needed to make a bot. Let me show you that. So if we go like this, if we set up a void update function here, and then we say if input dot get key down, key code dot, you know, I don't know, let's do H for hello. Then I can say client dot send message, and I want to send to client dot joined channels element 0, and I want to send hello world. Okay, so now in theory, if I run this, that is VS Code, Anna Prince. It is VS Code indeed, with the stupid little plugin, so it makes like little particle effects when I type. So now if I hit what was it, H, you can see that WallerbotBot just said hello world into the chat. So the way this works is this code here is setting up the ability to connect to Twitch and see what's happening in the chat and other things that are happening on the channel. And it's connecting as an account I made, which is this bot account. And so that means that because of that, now I can have the game say something in the chat, and I can also, most importantly, have the game see when people type things in the chat. And actually, one of the first things I wanted to test here is I believe there's a thing called client on chat command received. And this is probably the one we really want to use, because so this event called on message received will get notified anytime anyone says anything in the chat. But really all we care about is the bot reacting to commands. Like I mentioned over here, you know, there's going to be this like well. And down at the bottom, I'm planning on having a few things, and then I'll show the commands here. This is like command 1. This is going to be command 2. This will be command 3, or maybe it's like left, right, and center. I don't know. But all this, for this game to work, essentially all I really need to do is I need to notice when people type these commands into chat, and then write down, in memory somewhere, okay, I've got them down as it's going to go in the left-hand slot, or I've got so-and-so down, it's going to be in the center one. And so we should be able to use this on chat command received. Now, we just have to rename this one, I think. Okay, and we can say chat command from, and the commands, actually, I think on chat command received, we get some special structure here in the case of a command. And because you can see this is going to give us the command, which will tell us the actual command itself, like what they type in. And then also, you can even get arguments, like if you did !1 space and then some extra values, you can get those as a list of strings separated by spaces. So we should be able to say here args dot command dot, do we get the user here? Yeah, chat message dot username. So we're saying we got a command from them, and then it's going to be args dot command text. Okay, and right now I'm also printing out people's user IDs, which we don't need anymore. I was just debugging that, so we can get rid of that. Your user ID is like a unique identifier that even if you change your display name, doesn't change. So I can use that to remember a user, like if I wanted to keep the high scores around or something. Which I'm not really all that concerned with at the moment, but all right, so let's test this. So now in theory, if we run this, I'm gonna give it a second here. Okay. If we run this, be a great professor. Well, it's funny you mention that because I am actually teaching game design and game prototyping. So thanks for the vote of confidence. All right, so now in theory, if you type !anything in the chat, we should see a debug printout. Let's see, I can probably test it myself. Oh, there we go. Look at that. There we have it. So see, here's the one that's the full chat message. That's from this. But then we're also getting this chat command thing, and you can see the chat command thing is nice because it got rid of the exclamation point and just said the 2 or whatever. So this is the one we're going to want to use because this is going to filter out things. I don't have to look for the exclamation points or anything. I can just know that someone typed in exclamation point whatever, and so that should be good. I had another person who teaches game design tell me the 3D perspective I chose for my game jam is the absolute worst. Yeah, well, 3D adds more. It is kind of like exponentially more to do. Although in your case, no, it does. It definitely does. Wish my college had a game development course. Yeah, me too. So I didn't go to school for game development. Oh, he meant from the player's perspective. Oh, interesting. 3D is tricky because it can make judging depth a lot harder. And so if you're asking for precision, then 3D can be harder, right? And actually, one of the things you can do is you can chart Nintendo battling that issue with all the 3D Mario games. Mario 64 is this amazing game, but they lost a lot of players who liked Mario games because it was 3D and it was hard to judge and everything. And you'll notice actually even from the first one they realized it, and so they de-emphasized jumping and landing on enemies, small enemies like Goombas. I mean, you can still do it, but it's not really as central to the game anymore, all because that was really hard to do. One of the main things they said they were so excited about the 3DS was that the actual 3D stereoscopic view meant that judging depth was more natural and intuitive. Yeah, Nazi, I noticed that about your game. You had pretty friendly platform sizes, and you can see that that's because you wanted to make sure it wasn't too strict, right? Did you has the game jam ended now? Did you finish the game? Alright, we're gonna get rid of this. Oh, it's over tonight. Oh man, what are you doing watching streams? Aren't you supposed to be like freaking out and trying to finish it? Cool. I'm glad you're almost done with it. I'll definitely give it a go. Is it gonna be up on itch or something? Alright, so we're not even gonna look at chat messages right now. We're just gonna look at commands. And okay. So we're in good shape here to receive messages, and this one I don't think this game is going to talk to chat too much. Like, it doesn't really need to say too much. I'm hoping that most of the feedback will be happening on screen. Cool. It'll be up on itch eventually. Nice. So one thing I will have to use is I'll have to use this thing called Twitch API, which is another class you can use to do other things, like, for example, get user details. And so what I'm going to be doing here eventually is anytime a player issues a command and essentially means that they're playing the game, I will need to use their user ID and look up information on them, ideally so that I can get their logo, which is essentially their profile picture. So I can download that, and then we'll be able to draw a grid of all the players and their profile pictures. So eventually that's where we're going to try and get to. So I'm set up pretty good here. I've got these two classes working. Now I just need my game logic to talk to them and work with them. And then my other plan with this is it's going to be all 2D, visually speaking. What did I screw up here? Oh, weird. Okay. It's going to be all 2D, and so I'm planning on using this cool new 2D vector thing called Shapes, which a developer named Freya Holmer makes, and she streams development all the time, and is really, really amazing and very, very smart, and very fun, cool streamer to watch, very entertaining. And so she made this really cool vector art system. So I'm planning on doing all the graphics in the game using this. And we can actually open up here and look at this sample gallery. There it is. So these are all the cool different primitives and things. And if I turn off Gizmos here, there you won't see the little icon saying that this is a shapes, primitive. But we've got polylines with different corner behaviors. We've got rectangles, rounded rectangles, polygons, quads, triangles, some simple 3D primitives, and then a ton of disks and polygons and stuff. So I think this is going to be plenty for this game I'm talking about making. So I'm looking forward to messing around with this. I believe this is... Yeah, so these are individual game objects with a script on them. It's a shapes component, in this case the polyline component, that lets you decide, like, okay, and I think actually, yeah, there's an edit points in scene thing here, so I can go like this and I can just mess around and let's see, press tab to cycle mode's position, and add remove points mode here. See, we could just be like, boom, add a point, and now look at this, you can change thickness on a per point basis. That's really cool. Color, now you can click here and set the color on a per point basis, and then go back to position and move these around. So this is going to be super cool, and should be really easy way then to create all the visuals. And I'm thinking then maybe I can make like a palette or something, so you can choose different palettes for the game to set up to make it kind of match whatever style you want, just by having different color schemes. So it's all going to be this sort of like graphic 2D style. So let's see. All right, we got about half an hour or so left today. So I'm off to a pretty good start. So I think I'm going to start just kind of like laying out and making the ability to have some little layouts, create a ball object and get that thing falling. And then we're going to have to set up some code to do the simulation behind the scenes, and then record the positions of the balls and the other objects, and then replay that. And one thing I've been debating about is how to handle, how many different aspect ratios does the game need to handle. So I'm thinking that the basic aspect ratio is this 1:2, so it's 2 times as tall as it is wide. but that maybe I need to handle at least a few other aspect ratios within some reason. And if I want to support that, then I need my little little scenes with the different sort of like pachinko elements in them to sort of somehow survive being different widths. So I think I need a light layout system for that's kind of like slightly dynamic in order to support that idea, which maybe is over engineering it out of the gate. But if it's for a stream, right, and you're trying to fit it onto your screen, like you may need some options in terms of how how wide it's allowed to be. So I think what we're going to start with is we're going to make a script, and this is just going to be like a layout helper thing. So we're going to make a thing here called flexible layout. And I think my idea is that you would make a transform, you would put this script on it, you can set some properties on it, and then it will show you like a little debug of like where it would finally get placed. Yeah. And we probably want this whole thing to kind of take place in a rectangle. So this thing is going to need a reference rectangle. Alright, so actually we're also going to want a thing called layout rect, let's say. So a layout rectangle.
Hi, chat.
My daughter says hello. Okay, so a layout rectangle is going to be defined by everyone says hi now that she walked away. I think she says class she's doing right now. I think Matzi, didn't we I think we like discussed the relative age of our kids at some point, but I'm forgetting now if it was that we had similar aged daughters or if that was like Vimlark or something. I can't remember. All right, so the way we're gonna keep this simple. I think we're gonna have a transform, which will be like the upper left, and then we'll have another one, which will be the lower right. And between these, we should be able to. Okay, Matsu, your oldest is 7. Yeah, my daughter is 13. So your ears were correct. Okay, upper left, lower right, and then yeah, that's right. This is enough that we can then get, for example, we're gonna need some helper fields on this. So we're gonna want a public vector. I mean, I guess we should do all this in just 2D. I don't know. We'll leave the values in 3D just in case. So we're gonna have a public vector 3, which is get normalized, or yeah, get normalized position. So you would pass into this a vector 3 where the values are between 0 and 1. You know, a lot of people say that Anaprints, that C# is essentially Microsoft's Java. So if a lot of your work has been in Java, this shouldn't look too unfamiliar. Maybe this thing here, like this mono behavior thing, might be you know, weird looking. That's a Unity thing. So basically, this is saying we're making a class and it inherits from mono behavior, which is a special Unity class that has a bunch of. It already has a bunch of methods and fields, and it's the one you would inherit from when you want to create your own custom scripts that you can apply to objects in the game. Because Unity has like a component-based setup, so you have these objects, and then they can have components. They can be built-in ones, or they can be custom ones. So this one, you're going to pass it some numbers between 0 and 1. It's going to give you back the position. So this should be as simple as, let's see, we got to do this per. So we're going to be like, I guess we can just do it this way. Return new vector 3, and the x component is going to be math.lerp upper left dot x lower right dot x. I don't know if you're familiar with Angular, but that's what I think of when I hear components. Yeah, I only know of the name, but I have never done anything with it. And then we're going to use unit.x here as the lookup into that. I feel like it's probably a better way to do this, or I could do this all in one fell swoop, but I'm just going to do it this way. Okay, and then dot z lower right dot z unit dot z, and then that's our new vector. And get rid of this. Oh, right. Upper left dot position. Okay, we're gonna do all this in world space, which I guess maybe we'll actually ask you. So in that case, then what we could do here is we could say this is vector 3 world position equals. I mean, actually, let's do it the other way around. So we'll do this. We'll do local. No, we want to do world position. So we're going to get this as a world position. What is this complaining about now? Oh. Okay. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll say if space equals space dot equals space dot self. Then we're just going to make this relative to the upper left, I guess. Yeah. So then we'll say vector 3 local position equals upper left dot inverse transform point of the world position. So this is all just like vector math stuff. And if we don't do that, we'll make it down here, in which case we just return the world position. Okay, so there's our layout rect, and then this flexible layout is going to be expecting a layout rect to exist above it in the hierarchy, I think is how we want to handle that. So, yeah, I think that's how we want to do it. So, and then I guess what it'll do is it'll actually place itself based on that, which if the layout rect is above it in the hierarchy, then we're going to want this to be, yeah, okay. So we're going to say private layout rect layout is null, and then we're going to have some cases here where this can yeah, in Unity components aren't all strictly code like they are in Angular. Yeah, they're often they're sort of a whole class, so they have data, code and data in them frequently. Not always, but frequently. Like you see, I'm already doing that. I've got some data here, and then I have some code. The rules for making fields methods public, private, and C#, I think they're pretty similar. So things default to private if you don't say anything. You have to explicitly make them public. And I'm doing something here with this serialized field, which basically says Unity has a default behavior where it looks at all of the public fields in your class and exposes them in the editor so you can actually tweak and adjust the values. But you can also force it to do that with a private by marking it as serialized, and then Unity says, okay, you want to be able to actually modify and save this and store it, so I'm going to show it in the what they call the inspector, which is essentially the editor application. Okay, so we're flexible layout is expecting a layout rect to exist, and then it's going to have some properties, and I'm going to make these private as well, although we'll probably add some getters and setters for them. So we're going to have a private vector3, which is the unit component. Okay, defaults to 0. And then we're going to have private vector3 absolute, which is also going to default to 0. Okay, and then one question is, how much of this do I want to be able to edit in the editor? Yeah, probably a fair amount. So what we'll do is we'll do this. We'll do void on validate, and then we'll say place, which is going to be our method to actually set our position. Okay, and then also in start, we're going to call place. And then actually these should have, so if I do anything in code with these, so for example public vector3 unit, and then we'll have a getter that just returns that, but we'll have a setter which sets the unit to the value passed in and then calls place to make sure we update our position anytime this changes. And then we'll also have one here, public vector3 absolute get return the private, and then set absolute equals value, and then place. Okay, whoops, and then place. I do stuff where, like, if I know a method is going to be private, I start it with a little underscore. That's just a personal convention. That's not like a C# thing. Private void place. So then this is going to check if we have a layout or not. So if layout is null, then we're going to try and get one. Like, let's get component in parent. Yep. I do the same thing for private member variables as well. That's just like a personal convention, though. There's no particular need for it. And then what we'll do here is we'll say if layout is still null, then we're going to complain. Debug log error, flexible layout cannot find a layout rect, exclamation point. And then Unity has this cool thing where when you do an error, if you pass in an object as context, which in this case would be this.gameObject, it will mean that when this error pops up in the console, you can click on it, and it will actually highlight the offending object in the hierarchy, which is super useful. So that's why we add this part to the end here. SCR183, what's up, man? Didn't get enough of me in class today. Anna Prince, you say I must be a Python guy. Is that because of the where I'm putting my opening and closing curly braces? Oh, dang, look at that. You got the emote, right? That's the aha emote. It's my first proper emote. Very excited about it. Matzi, if you're still here, you should have it as well. Oh, because of the underscores. Ah. No, I don't know who I picked it up from. I was working somewhere at some point, and that was like the convention, and so it stuck. Nice. Okay, so if we have a layout, now if we make it to here, we're going to return. So then now we should be safe here, but I'll just double safe and do this. Now we can actually place ourselves. So the way this is going to work is we're going to say, hey, layout, get normalized position, and we are going to pass in our unit position, and the space is going to be self because we know we're a child of this. Just read your about Jellycar. Yeah, Jellycar is the game I made. Maybe the big moment I think I'm about to build the game. Matzi, Godspeed. Press that. I forget what's the shortcut. It's like Control Shift B to bring up the build option, and then press that build button and see if you have any errors. Okay, so pause equals layout. Takes long to build. Yeah, it should be faster subsequent builds though. After you build once, it like caches some of the junk. And then we're gonna say pause plus equals absolute. And then we're going to say transform.local position equals pause. Okay. Okay. So let's test this out. So the idea here is we're going to make an example. I like it. Clay, you come to my stream to ask me questions about the homework. I don't know. It should be slides. It should be slides. Like that's what you're going to be asked to do to present your concepts and stuff. IRL. Docs would be. I mean, docs are okay too. You're gonna that would be like you're sending something out to a team. They're gonna like take time to read. But when you're like pitching your idea or explaining it, it would be more like a presentation where you'd be like standing up in front of the group, walking them through it. So that's the practice I'd rather focus on. Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to create an empty, and this is going to be our main rect. This is going to be our layout rect. And then we need... Okay, I'm not in love with this... You know what? I'm not in love with having these transforms that define the size. Let's get rid of that. This is going to make the hierarchy dumb. Let's just do this. Let's just go... We're going to actually assume that the origin of the rectangle is always the upper left corner, and that's 0. All we need is the extents, or the size. We'll call it size. And it's just going to default to, 1 or something. So then we'll add in a public vector where you can get at this size. Get is just going to return the size. I'm not going to let anyone set it for right now. Okay, so the normalized position is going to be simple. This is actually going to get way simpler now because world position can just be vector 3 dot, no, it's going to be unit, no, it's going to be vector 3 dot scale. And we're going to take our size and we're going to scale it by unit. And then that is sort of inherently in local space. So that's now this. Do you want original drawings on it? Of course, I want original drawings on it. Let's see. Oh, Shadow Games, I forgot to say hello. You probably already left. My apologies. Maybe you'll catch the VOD and notice that I said hello and goodbye after you had already came and gone. My bad. I gotta pay attention to the chat. It's tricky to talk through code and also have a look at the chat. Okay. So this is now in local space. So then we say if space equals space dot world. Then we're gonna say return transform point local pause. Otherwise, just return local pause. Okay. So now, because now what we can do is we can say here's our rect, and it's just going to have a value called size. We're going to say it's 5 units wide and 10 units on the x. And we have to decide our coordinates here because is it actually the lower left is 0, 0? That would play nicer with Unity's coordinate system, so maybe that's what we'll plan on doing. And Anna Prinz, you have applications program at 8 a.m. tomorrow, but I'm here watching this anyway. Well, hey, this is related. We are making some semblance of an application. Okay, so we want to be able to visualize the size of this thing. So we're going to do on draw Gizmos. And in here, we're just going to draw some lines so that we can understand the position and size of our... Oh, not here, though. This should be in the layout rect. Okay, so this goes here. So this should be pretty simple. We're just going to say vector 3 lower right equals, and we can just use get normalized position of vector 3 dot 1 and space dot world. And we're only going to draw the 2D case right now, even though this technically has a 3D aspect. Maybe I should make this 2D. Let's make it 2D. You know what? I like it better where we don't have this like extraneous Z coordinate hanging out, not really doing anything for anybody. That should all still work. So that means this is now a vector 3, and this is now, or a vector 2, and this is now a vector 2. And then here, we'll do the same thing. These are going to be vector 2s. You know, I'm like 20 minutes into making this thing. I'm already changing my mind about stuff. Okay, this is going to be a vector 2. This, therefore, needs to be a vector 2 dot 0, and this is a 2. So now that plus equals should work, and everything else should be fine. We may need a Z offset or something for this, but we'll get to that later. My prof is a game developer in his free time, so I'll tell him I was watching this stream. Nice. Okay. So back to here. Now we have our simpler thing down here, which is we can just be like gizmos dot draw line from transform. No, let's do this. Vector 3 even would be. I guess these can be vector 2. So we'll just be upper left equals transform dot position, but truncated to a vector 2, which this allows you to do this. This is a vector 3. This is a vector 2, and it just silently tosses away the Z when you do that. So now we should be able to say we want to go from a new vector, which is upper left dot x and upper left dot y, and actually let's make these be vector 3 so we get our Z component here. And so this will be new. Let's see, let me think about what's the best way to do this. I guess if we do this and then we just say lower right dot Z equals upper left dot Z. Okay. So we need this, and then we need doesn't matter. We're going to go from there to lower right dot X, but upper left dot Y. Okay. So that's our first line. And then let's do lower right dot x, but upper left this, and then this is going to be lower right. Okay, so this should be enough that I can go look at this. And what we should see now, there we go. Okay, so now we can see that this thing is 5 units wide, and if I change this, we see the line changing there, and it's 10 units tall. And we've got half of our little rectangle being drawn here. So now that we know we've got the math right, let's draw the rest of it. So this one needs to be the upper line, or I define these kind of strange actually, now I think about it. Because this is actually lower left and this is upper right based on the coordinates. But we're just gonna, no one's ever gonna come back to this code. This is just the 5-second code to get us the basics, so we'll just live with it. So for this one to work, we want the same thing as these, but we want this to be lower right, and this thing to be lower right, and then this one is upper left and upper left. That should do it. Okay, so now we should have a rectangle. There we go. So this is how this is going to work. You would create this component, the rect layout rect, and let's say that your average level section is going to be whatever, it's like 8 by 16 units or whatever. And now we can make a child, and this is going to be a layout test. And if on this object we put a flexible layout, we now should be able to do stuff like if I set the x to 1 here, pops to the right. I set y to 1, pops to the top. I put this x back to 0, and there we are. So if I put these to both 0.5 and 0.5, we're right in the center. And now if I go over here and I make this wider, it's not going to update immediately because I have to like touch it to make it update right now. But it's going to, now it would place itself right there. And then what we can do is we can build in an offset. And this is in absolute units. So for example, if we said we want to place something that's in the upper left corner, that would be like this. But we want it to be 1 unit over and 1 unit down. We would do that. Oh, Matzi, things brokey. All right, man. Take it easy. Thanks for dropping by. Good luck finishing up your game. I will certainly play it once it's not brokey and available to be played. So here you can see, does this look right? Let's look at this. Yeah. So no matter what, this is this layout idea, where my idea is that all the little like Plinko objects and stuff, I'm not going to place by just placing transforms. I'm going to use this layout script to define where they should be, so that when you run the game in a different aspect ratio and it says, oh, the level's actually only this narrow, my level should be able to survive it by knowing how to like adjust the placement of things. Which means things like walls are going to be dynamic, where they actually like create the collider at runtime, because we won't know the size ahead of time, because the aspect ratio could change. So here this is looking pretty good. Now I wonder if, yeah, you know what I could do? Yes, okay. What we could do is, in order to make this easier to iterate on, if I go to flexible layout, look at this, I already have not flexible layout, layout rect. I already have this thing called size, and you can get it. How am I going to handle that in the inspector? Well, we could do it like this. We could do it where you can set it as well. Size equals value. And then we could say like update layout. And then we can also add a void on validate, which is a function Unity calls when you change values in the inspector. This is a little cheesy, and I should probably write a proper inspector script, but this should allow us to kind of just kind of cheese our way through it. So what this is going to do is then we're going to have a private method here. By the way, I use method and function like interchangeably because I don't actually understand the difference between them. I just realized I forgot to play any kind of music this whole time. Okay, and so what this is going to do is it's going to find all the flexible layouts but underneath it in the hierarchy. And it's going to loop through them. This isn't going to handle if I chain these, but I'm not planning. This is simple, so I'm not that worried about it. Don't worry, Anna. I'm certain Moxie can fix it. You should definitely, if you haven't been to any of his streams before, you should check him out. Moxie's awesome, and he's making a cool game right now for a game jam. Okay, so layout in layouts, and then a burning question for me. Go ahead. Layout dot, oh, and then we're gonna need some public way to tell this one to force an update. So we can do like public void force place. And that's just gonna call place for now. There we go. Whoop, 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 whoop. Save. And then we can do force place here. Do you secretly have a copy of the legendary jelly card that you keep in place sometimes? I do not. I I do not. I actually need to go look through my old like hard drives and stuff and see if I can find the original one. The original, you know, was actually PC/Xbox, and then I ported it to iPhone, which is where most people became aware of it. But I don't even have that version either. I have a super old iPod Touch probably somewhere around that maybe has a copy of it on it. I don't know, because it's been out of the App Store for a while for various, you know, dumb reasons. Like it's just a lot of work to keep updating free apps, and then Jelly Car became a Disney thing, so I sort of needed to take down my personal version, you know, and let the Disney ones be the final and official ones, and then those got taken down from the store because it's a lot of effort to keep up with all the updates to the iOS and Android software changes and stuff, and blah blah blah. It's not very pleasing answer, but that's the case. Okay, so let's test this out. We're going to put a debug sphere here, and so now, yeah, so look, see how it's not moving? That's on purpose. Why isn't it moving? The reason it's not moving is that this one is set to be anchored, and I should probably draw the anchor somewhere, but it's anchored to right here, and then has an, you know, like a fixed offset from that corner. So if we go here and instead we move the top, it's going to stick with the top. See, look at that. This is essentially like a simplified version of Unity's UI layout system, which maybe I should just be using that, but, you know, it's more fun to like make your own dumb little stuff. And so if we change this instead and say, actually, this thing's going to be centered with no offset. Now if we go back here and we tweak the size of this, we should see it move. Look at that. Pretty cool. Yeah, it's not going to be used for UI. It's going to be because... So my plan, again, is like you're going to have a little thing like this, and there's going to be like pachinko type junk like this. Like little pegs and things like this, all laid out like this, and then a ball is going to fall in, and it's going to bounce off these things, and the chat has to guess where it's going to end up. And the thing is, I want this game to be able to handle working at a few different aspect ratios. So, for example, this level here, like let me think of a more representative example. So, like let's say we have a thing like this, and then like this, and there's just enough room here for the ball to fit through. I don't know why I would make this level, because everyone would vote 1, but you get the idea. Now, here's the thing. Like, let's say I want to run this exact level. But it'll fit better in the stream if it's like more narrow. So what do I do in this case? How do I make this level somehow survive like this? Do I have some rule that says, oh, I just sort of like cut it off on the edges? You know, or what? And so my idea is, well, this line and everything would be defined using this layout system I was just setting up. So this one would say like, oh yeah, it's like anchored to this spot, like proportionally in the screen. And then this one might say, actually it's anchored to like this spot proportionally in the screen, but then it's offset a little bit up and back. Which would mean then that when the layout tries to make this thing over here, it'd be like, cool, I'm supposed to be here, and then this point would like resolve to here, and they would go up and over and say, okay, it's got to be like that. And then this one would be like, okay, you know, it's got like an anchor here and an anchor here. Or maybe this one actually I would have the anchor over here and say offset this much, so I know how big the hole is. Then this one would be like, okay, this goes here, and then it would pick right here and move back that much, and you'd get like, you know, you're going to get a slightly different level, right? These angles will change a little bit. But that's the idea, is that I want to try and make it so that I can design these little boards, and then they will survive being subjected to a different aspect ratio. And so I think if I have a little bit more control over how they're placed, I can do that. And the Prince says, it would be interesting if the streamer could choose to have more or less buckets on the bottom. How much work is that to implement? Yeah, that should be pretty easy. There would be a limit to it, obviously, because you wouldn't want to make like too many where the ball can't fit, right? Like the ball has some fixed size, so you wouldn't want it to be more narrow than that. But that would be a cool setting. That either the game could like change that over time, like you play it, and the main thing I'm trying to hope for is that people get streaks, so like they guess it right, and then they guess the next one right, and the next one right, and they're like building up this really big score, and they don't want to get one wrong because it will like reset their combo or their streak or whatever. So it might be interesting to not have the number of buckets be totally fixed for the whole game, but change from board to board, or as you say, maybe it's something that the streamer could set as like a preference. Like, hey everyone, let's play easy mode for a while, and they set it to just 2 buckets or whatever. But yeah, it should be pretty straightforward. Because I can just dynamically split the space up into a certain amount of buckets, and then say, well, just dynamically decide a chat command for each one. Yeah, there's going to be lots of different little layouts. And the idea is that the ball falls through, and everyone's guesses are tabulated, and then it like scrolls up and reveals a new board, and it keeps going, and keeps going, and keeps going. And you're trying to get a chain as a viewer. Yeah, so that's the basic idea. So I don't know if this little layout system I wrote right now is going to be good enough to handle this, but I did think it was important that the game could handle at least some range of aspect ratios. They're all going to be tall and skinny because it's a vertical game. It's pachinko, But yeah. So we're off to a pretty good start here. So now the idea is like I would make boards. Each board would be its own little object. It has this rectangle on it. And I'll probably have a fixed, like size for these, which is going to be twice. I think my default is going to be 1 to 2 aspect ratio. So this would be something like 8 by 16. And I would design them like this, and then I'll test the game, making sure it can handle being a little wider and being a little narrower. My plan is to support 3 fixed aspect ratios here. Yeah, so then what we'll probably end up doing is I'll need to start actually, like the next step for this is I would make a test layout, make it so that when I hit play, it creates all the colliders and everything, and then drops the ball and then gets the ball bouncing. And once we've done that, we will start recording the ball so that we can do this like dynamic, dramatic reveal of the path of the ball to make the voting as dramatic as possible. And then once we have that working, we can start hooking up the chat voting. Then the next step is probably to make it handle actually loading in different boards. And then after that, we need it to have an interstitial in between boards where it shows the current score breakdown for the players. And I kind of have a plan for how I want to lay that out, and I think that should be pretty cool. So I'm probably going to stop for today. We got not a tremendous amount done, but this is kind of the annoying think it through getting started stuff. And then likely, so I'll probably be on tomorrow night later, because I need to do some work on Pro Gymnast. So I'll probably do that tomorrow, where I've got maybe 5 or 6 notes I've written down of fixes and things I want to look into. A few people have reported some controllers that don't work well with the game, and so I want to test that out. And Builder Arcus, yeah, did you just show up? I had a feeling you did. The launch has gone very well. Yeah, overall I'm very happy with it. The game seems pretty stable. Reaction is positive for people that are playing it. The reviews are positive, and streamers and YouTubers have been picking up the game, which is fantastic. I don't think the game has a ton of awareness at the moment, so there's room for growth if I can get more people to notice it. Yes, and I'm on the West Coast. I'm in LA, so it's 8 p.m. here. So this is my after dinner short stream time. I tuned in a few streamers playing it, and it always cracks me up. I also bought it and getting stuck. Yeah, it does get pretty difficult. But yeah, so I'm very happy with the release. Of course, I'm hopeful that even more people will find out about it and like it. But I really have no complaints. I didn't know what to expect with this game in terms of the size of the audience. So far, I've been pleasantly surprised. Yeah, so tomorrow I think I'll be doing my stream will be patching up and working on some fixes for Pro Gymnast. And then next stream I'll be back on this new chat minigame thing. And I bet we make a lot of progress next stream where we actually get some pachinko type action happening, and maybe even get to the point where chat can start voting and getting a sense for how it will feel to play it. So yeah, this I'm tentatively planning on calling this Chat Predicts, and I'm looking forward to looking forward to hooking it up to my stream. I'll have to change my little layout here a little bit and decide where I'm gonna put it and stuff, but it's always fun to mess around with that junk anyway, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, Builder Argus. So this is going to be like a little pachinko mini game that where a ball will be bouncing down, and there's going to be some dramatic way that I'm slowly revealing the path of the ball. And while it's revealing it, chat will be voting where they think it's going to end up. And the sooner you vote, the more points you get. If you guess early, you earn more points, and if you guess late, you earn fewer points. And then if you guess correct, you also get some kind of multiplier combo streak thing that compounds to the next board, which will be a different layout. You're using TwitchLip. I am, and it's already working. I just have like the basics in, so I think if I hit play right now and switch to the Unity console, if you type a command, any command right now, the Unity console will notice it. There you go. See, you just typed join. And I know that it was from the user named Builder Argus. So we are in good shape. Because this is mostly what I need for this. Because as you can see here, there's going to be just little commands in the bottom buckets. And as you're looking at the ball, you're like trying to decide where it's going to go. You would just type in like, exclamation point 1 if you think it's going to go in bucket 1, 2, or 3 or whatever. And there we go. SCR183, you have joined as well. So, and then I'll be sort of like keeping track of some kind of scoring and doing some interstitials between each board where it shows like who's in what place and that kind of thing. So I'm looking forward. I'm going to make it all out of a vector 2D, so it should be really quick to iterate on. And it's going to be fun. And the idea is then that I'll integrate it into my stream, and then in the future, anytime I'm streaming, I'll have that game constantly running, and chat can play it. And then we can come up with new ideas to expand upon it or mess around with it. And so I was just getting started today with like this little layout system I'm going to have where I can design my boards and have a little bit of a flexible layout to them so that ideally you can run this game at a few different aspect ratios and it'll survive. And so we did that, and that's where we made it to today. So I expect the next stream we'll be able to you're going to use shapes. I am excited to. This was my excuse to use shapes. So the whole thing is going to be shapes. This is my current plan. Shapes and TextMesh Pro. So it's going to be all like cool, pretty vector art brought to you by Shapes from the amazing Freya Holmar. And then I'm thinking maybe there'll be like a palette system or something, so you can swap out different palettes to give the game different looks. Which should be easy enough. It's just having kind of like a list of colors that's like, oh, walls are this color, and bumpers, bouncy things are this color, and the ball is this color, and that kind of thing. So it should be pretty cool. So this is going to be the fun little side project. I've been wanting to make something to go with the stream for a while. And so I like this idea because it's simple and small, but I think it actually be kind of fun, and for a chat to kind of just not take over the chat with tons of chatter for the game, but still have a little thing going on where they're like got a little, drama happening next to whatever boring thing I'm doing in the stream. So that's the idea. So I'm gonna wrap it up for today. Maybe let me see if anybody is streaming right now that we could go say hello to real quick. It's not too late, so I've got a few minutes here. We could come. Anna Prince, thanks for stopping by. Hopefully we'll see you again sometime, and good luck with your class in the morning. Thanks for hanging out and chatting. It's always more fun when people are around and saying and participating in the chat. So let's see. There's a few people on right now. Yeah, we could go
way, but
I like this game quite a bit. This developer's making. Let's go. If anyone wants to come along and say hello to Jotson, making this really cool game that has kind of a pixel junk shooter vibe. In Godot or Godot or however you're supposed to say that. So if anybody wants to come along and say hello, please do. Otherwise, thanks so much for hanging out with me, and we'll work on Pro Gymnast next time, and then we'll get back to this time after that. Bye!
Those don't seem to be slowing down. I might have to restart it again.